Education at Spirit Keeper Animal Sanctuary. Welcome to Serpentes Sunday for Sunday, May 15th, 2022. This is kind of a special episode for me. I have a couple of new things to share with you, but then we're going to flash back 3 years ago to about a week after one of my Morelia Bredli, Boreth, arrived. And I'm going to show you some unused footage that I have of him during one of his exercise sessions and feedings that I never used in any videos. And my phone is screaming at me that it's full and it's refusing to save more photos and videos because I have about 12,000 of them on there. And I have to start deleting some things and trying to transfer them to my computer as I can. So I want to use this footage and I didn't want to delete it because it was really special to me. Boreth had only been here a week and it really showed what kind of personality he had right from the beginning. And Boreth is still doing really well. He actually was the subject of a paper that I wrote and presented about at this year's ABMA conference on a shifting behavior that he learned to complete here at our home facility. And then he subsequently performed that same shifting behavior at our veterinarian's office. So it was kind of a big deal that a snake was able to learn that behavior, station on a scale with his whole body, and he's a fairly big snake, and that he was able to generalize that behavior at the veterinary hospital around strange people in a strange location. One of the announcements that I have is I just got some t-shirts in. These aren't for general sale. They're for me and any of my volunteers or interns to wear. If we go to reptile events or reptile expos and they say, ask me about snake behavior and training, this is a total advertisement. And I've put the wording on the back really low so that I can wear my hair down and my friends and volunteers can wear their hair down if necessary, and you can still read it. Ask me about snake behavior and training. The reason I decided to do that is if I go to any reptile events, animal events, or expos and I don't have a booth there and I'm not speaking, I might as well still be advertising and talking to people about how exciting it is to be able to do snake behavior and how easy it actually is to train them. The other news I have to share with you is our second Super Dwarf Reticulated Python, Ryder Azadi. He's been here just over a month and he already escaped last night. I put him to bed, and when I got up this morning, I went to check on all of the snakes, as I always do as soon as I get up. And his lamp on top of his terrarium was moved. And I have two screens on it. I have the sliding lock-in screen, and then I have another mesh security screen over the top of that. Both of those looked moved slightly out of position, and he's still pretty small. He's only about 161 grams. And that made me very suspicious. So of course I took the lamp off. I took both the screens off. He wasn't inside. And I panicked for just a second. And then I thought, now wait, you know Super Dwarf Retics and you've had TC for 3 years. Where would TC go if he did this? And TC likes to go to one of several places when he's out, whether he's gotten out without my permission or whether I let him out. And I checked the very closest spot near to Ryder's enclosure where TC typically likes to go, and that's where Ryder was. And that is one of our small parrot perches that's got a platform on the bottom with about 1 inch of space underneath, and I've drilled a hole in the platform so the snakes can crawl down under the parrot perch, and they like to coil or stretch out under that platform. It's on one of my desks. And that's where Ryder was, and that's where Ryder has been all day. I just didn't want to disturb him. I would rather that he feel safe and go there than have me take him out basically and punish him by putting him away, and then maybe next time he escapes, or if I let him out the next time on purpose, he won't go to that spot. And that's not what I want. That's a very safe and appropriate spot for the snakes to be when they're out. So I've just left him there throughout the day, and I have checked on him periodically, and we will go back in time Gonna get in my TARDIS, my time machine, and we're gonna go back 3 years to 2019 and see Boreth after he'd been here about a week. Those terrariums on that red shelving were set up for a Bredli study that I did with 10 baby Morelia Bredli back then. This is Boreth. He is one of our new Bredli's pythons. He came from Ralph Polinksi. He was hatched July 7th, 2017. I really don't know too much about him. He's been out in his exercise area and he made it to a second room. I've only handled him a couple of times. He's not too bad. He's just slightly nervous and I don't really know him, so that's why I'm kind of being careful. I'm gonna put him in this tub and feed him. I'm gonna link an article in the video description about how I used to do this tub training as a station back in 2019. I actually wrote the article back then as well. Guess he doesn't want to be in the tub. He has a huge enclosure here. But he also likes, he's used our exercise space twice, but he's left the exercise space and come into a whole nother room and made his way across to some other enclosures, and he's quite the roamer. And the reason that he was already out exercising, and I would have normally been putting him away now, but I'm just gonna put him in a tub and feed him. And the reason I'm gonna do that is I'm not sure how he was being fed before, and I'm not sure how he is about being fed in the enclosure. And I would prefer to really start station training him and target training him. Since he was already out, he's had some exercise, it would have been time to put him back in. I just put him in here instead to start his station training. And station training is where you start teaching the animal to go to a station, which in his case will be a temporary tub on his own. And the way that we start that is by feeding him in the tub first, and then we start setting the tub outside of his enclosure. Normally the snakes start going into the feeding tub on their own. And that's just one of the two main types of training I do with snakes here, the other being target training. Some of the snakes are being both station trained and target trained. Okay. So he ate, no problem, and now he's going back into his regular enclosure where he lives. And this was a success. He doesn't know me and I don't know him yet. This is only the second time that I've handled him, and he's only been here a week. So I think that all went pretty well. Wasn't so stressed in this tub that he didn't eat. He struck right away, he ate right away, and now he's going right back into his enclosure when given the opportunity. That's just step one in station training, or one of the steps in station training. And in this case, I put him in the enclosure myself and then fed him his rat. What you can do is, like, I could have set the enclosure right outside of his, set the tub right outside of his enclosure like it is now and put the rat in it and then had him find it in the tub on his own. That's another way that you can initiate station training. But since he had already been loose in the exercise area, I chose to do it tonight the way that I did, which was to manually put him in the tub. And once the snakes learn this, I can literally set the tub right outside of their enclosure without food in it, and they will shift themselves into the tub, wait for their meal and eat, and then shift themselves back into their enclosure. And I like that almost better than target training, because then that's less that I actually have to do. Now, in that last segment, I know I said I liked that type of station training better than target training. Back then, remember when I first started training the snakes, my whole entire goal was to get them to come out of their enclosures so that I could clean the enclosures and then get them to go back in the enclosures with minimal stress, with minimal handling, and make that just a smooth interaction. I just wanted them to come out into temporary holding and go back in. And at that time, I could do that with a lot more snakes at the same time. And I could do other things while they were shifting themselves in and out than I can when I'm actively target training them. But since then, since my target training has evolved so much and I'm using target training for so many other things, I actually really like target training as a tool better than just having them shift out of their enclosure to one single station and back in, although I do still use that for some of the snakes. There's somebody wants back out and wasn't ready for me to put him up, even though he's already been out in the exercise area tonight and he's already eaten. But as soon as I got close to his enclosure, he came right up to the window like he wanted out again. Boreth, you're going to be an outgoing individual, huh? You're already a pretty outgoing individual. Well, you can't come out again right now. It's bedtime for you. You've eaten, you've exercised, you've eaten, and you need to go to bed. The first day he got here, I opened his tub to get him out, and he came out on his own and started wandering around the kitchen counter, and then he climbed up into our exercise area, which is near the ceiling above there, and he spent several hours out. And so I decided he would get our largest enclosure, which is this 48 inches long, 28 inches deep, and 28 inches high vision enclosure. And he's been pretty active this whole first week that he's been here, and he's out a lot. He spends time really between his humidity box, which is right there, and this blue table, miniature table that's in there. He likes to lie on that. So tonight I took him out and let him in the exercise area again, and then I fed him, and then I put him away. And I came into the room and he started this behavior, and I walked up to the glass and he came right to the glass like he was just gonna come on out, but he hit the glass with his nose, and so now he's fussing because he clearly wants out again. So he's gonna be obviously another outgoing individual like Bennu, which is cool. I like snakes with this personality. Let me interject right here from present day 2022 that this is no longer our largest enclosure. We now have several enclosures that are 6 foot and 5 foot long. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that interesting and it was enjoyable for you to get to see a little glimpse into our past. This is actually Boreth in the present day. This is him actually right after he shed. I just pulled this out of his enclosure. And of course, he had to be nosy and see what I was doing. He's freshly shed and likely freshly rested and ready to come out and explore. So this is him present day on late night Saturday, May 14th, 2022. Looking beautiful and active, and he shed just special for our Serpentes Sunday episode this Sunday, May 15th. So I hope everybody's having a great May. I hope people around the country and around the world are having better weather than we are having here in Colorado, which we're experiencing drought and wildfires and severe extreme winds. Lucky for the snakes, they get to reside indoors, unlike the horses. So everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time.